Hello my dearest friends, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today we're going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, and I think that everyone agrees that this is the best kind of tag to do throughout the year. It has the best kinds of questions within it. We are seeing the best of the year so far, the disappointments, the surprises, what we still look forward to reading. So there's just great questions within this book tag, and honestly I don't know who started it, but I'm going to post all the questions down below if you want to do your own. And also I have to say that I've been loving everyone's videos that have come out lately. I have been so stoked in seeing what the favorites are of everybody's and what surprises they encountered, what they're still looking forward to reading. So yeah, I have been loving all these videos and I can't wait to share my answers with you because there's just so many great books within this list. And I'm going to post the questions like I mentioned below, and I have added a couple of my own, so a couple of bonus questions, so you can look forward to those at the end of the video. And I'm just going to go ahead and start. Now the first question is the most difficult question, and that is the best book you've read so far in 2024. I have to say that for me, because I've already read something like 120 books so far in 2024, it's so difficult to pick because I do have quite a few 5-star reads. But if I have to limit myself to maybe, I think I can limit myself to 3 books. I have to say Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I love Abby Jimenez's works. They always have this impact on me. They always make me feel different kinds of emotions, and I always remember them well into the future, and I just keep on thinking about them as well. So Just for the Summer is definitely a top contender for a favorite book of the year for me. And then I do have one book that is not a romance, and that is The Will of the Many. This one really took me by surprise because I was really intimidated by starting it because I knew there was no romance within this book. It's a fantasy book. And I was really kind of hesitant and I didn't know if I was going to love it, but I absolutely fell in love with this world, with this story, with the politics within the book. I was absolutely blown away by it, and I really cannot wait until the sequel comes out next year. So this one is definitely also a top contender of book of the year for me. And then we've got also The Serpent and the Wings of Night and the second book within that duology. I loved both of those. Really, they're equal in terms of impact to me, by Carissa Broadbent. I do want to open a side note here. This year has been a year for me where I've been trying to read more kinds of genres and more kinds of books of genres that in the previous year I hadn't read very many of. So this year I've read a lot of more romantasy books. I read a couple of historical fiction books, something that I never used to do before. I read a couple of historical romances as well. I read a couple of fantasy books that are not having any romance within them. So I'm really proud that I got to really explore different kinds of genres, and now I have a couple of books within those genres that have become favorites of mine. So I'm really happy about that. So we've got, what did I say? Just for the Summer, The Will of the Many, and The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Those are definitely 3 favorites that I'm going to keep on remembering throughout the year. And then I've got 3, but I do have to I have to mention one more, and that is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I think, again, I've been mentioning this a lot on my channel. There is a lot of hate, but also a lot of love for Emily Henry. I understand that not everyone will love this author's works, but for me, they just work. The formula and the way of writing and the types of stories that Emily Henry brings to the table just really work for me as a person. Maybe specifically because she's not the type of author who is very much focusing too much on the romance, but really on the development of the characters, their backstories, and then how they merge into a love story. That just really works for me. I really loved Funny Story. So yeah, that one is a definite favorite of mine as well. Question number 2 is best sequel that I've read in 2024, and that definitely goes to The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. This duology really did me in. I think they're quite chunky books, and I read them, I binged them all throughout 4 or 5 days because I was just so enamored with the world, with characters, with how their love story was going to play out and how everything that was set up politically also would work out. I was really immersed into this world, and I cannot wait for the next book to release in November. So yeah, this one is definitely my favorite sequel that I've read this year. The next question is new releases that you haven't read yet but want to. So off the top of my head, I have to say Elsie Silver's Wild Love. This is one of the releases that I've been putting off. I don't know why. I know everyone has been loving this book, but I just haven't been in the mood yet to pick it up. So that one is definitely on the list. And then another one is The Book of Azrael. I know that it's not technically a new release because it released last year, I think. But every time I finish a book, I'm like, should I start it now? But then I keep putting it off because, again, it's a romantasy book that I really want to get immersed into it. And yeah, I've been putting it off, but I'm going to pick it up soon. So those two are the ones that pop up into my mind when I think of new releases that I want to get to soon. The next question is the most anticipated releases for the later half of the year, so the second half of the year. And I really have a couple of those right now as I'm filming. The Ashley Poston book, novel Love Story, has not yet come out, so definitely I'm just dropping everything to read that book once it comes out. And then also Julie Soto's new book, which is not another love song. That one I'm definitely reading on release day. And then I also mentioned Carissa Broadbent's next book, which is, I forget what it's called. I found it. It's The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. And also Lucia Franco is going to be releasing like a spin-off book off of the Off Balance series that is going to focus on the heroine's brother. And that one I'm really looking forward to. I think she changed the title to it. I think it's going to be called Love Me With Lies. So that one is going to come out, I think, later this year. So that one is one that I'm really looking forward to as well. Now for the next two questions, I have really a couple of books because I could not choose which ones to mention. The first one being the biggest disappointments I've had this year. I had a lot of disappointments, honestly, because I was really looking forward to quite a couple of books and it was difficult for me to narrow it down. So I think I maybe have to do like disappointments of the year that I've had so far as a video, like a separate video. The ones that I definitely want to mention here are Bride and Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Those two new releases by this author were not my favorites. I have loved, I think, all of the books prior to those by Ali Hazelwood, but those two just did not work for me. I think they were really kind of targeting the book talk, very kind of spicy looking type of readers. I don't know how to really explain it, but they just did not work for me. I didn't find them very romantic, very original, or very engaging. And so for me, those really kind of missed the mark. I also have to mention The Long Game by Elena Armas because I really did enjoy The Spanish Love Deception by this author, and I was looking forward to picking up another book by this author that I was hoping to love. And this one did have a couple of tropes within it that I typically would enjoy, but it just missed the mark for me as well. I did not enjoy that book. And then we also have a new release by Catherine Center, which is The Rom-Commers. I have enjoyed all of the books that I've read by this author previously, so The Bodyguard and Hello Stranger, and I read one more, but I forgot which one, what it's called. But all the books that I've read by Catherine Center have been 4 or 5 stories for me, so I was really looking forward to The Rom-Commers, specifically because it involves writing screenplays for movies, and that is something that I'm definitely very interested in. And this one really, it did not work for me. I did not find that it was a romance, actually, because there was absolutely no chemistry between the two characters, and it was really not focusing on the romance or their love story. It was focusing on very many different details that were not part of their love story, and this was a definite disappointment for me. And then the last one that I want to mention is one that unfortunately I really didn't love because it's a debut work for this author. It's Raiders of the Lost Heart. When I saw this cover, I have to tell you, I was all in. I'm going to read this as soon as it releases because it's like Indiana Jones meets Lara Croft. I was all in for like an adventurous kind of time that features a very good kind of angsty and tension-filled romance, a lot of adrenaline-filled kind of situations. It was also pitched as something that resembles The Mummy as well. So I was like, oh, I really need this kind of book in my life. And when I read it, it was just so disappointing. I really did not enjoy this book. I didn't enjoy anything about this book. So unfortunately, this was a big miss for me as well. Moving on to more positive topics, fortunately, we've got biggest surprises for me for this year. I've stuck to 4 because I don't want to make this video too long. The first one is Padadoned by Chloe Angiel. I have not heard very many people talk about this book, and when I saw the cover, I was intrigued and I was really hoping that it was going to be the next dancer romance that I'm really going to enjoy, because it focuses on 2 ballet dancers. And when I started reading it, I was already getting the feeling that this is going to be a favorite. And when I finished it, I was so happy that all my expectations once I went into it were really met. I really have no critiques towards this book, and it was just so well done. I really love this book. The next one I want to mention is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. This book I have seen here and there, but not too often, to be honest. And when I picked it up, the cover does not really relay what the book is about. It's a very cutesy cover, and I think it was going to be like a cozy small town, maybe neighbor or roommate or something like that, romance, forced proximity. At least this is what the cover gave me, and I didn't look into the synopsis. And when I started reading it, it was something completely different. And that is something that really took me by surprise. I love that this book features 2 characters who are in the mature kind of demographic. They're in their late 40s to start of 50s. I love the representation within the book. There is queer representation. I love how their relationship was very organically built, how they really started off as online friends, moved their friendship offline, and then became more than friends. I really love this book. I hope that more people discover it. The next one is Burnout by Rebecca Genshak. Now I have to say I've read other Rebecca Genshak books. She has quite an extensive backlist, and the books that I've read by her were really enjoyable, like 3 to 4 star reads for me. But this one really took me by surprise because I had very little expectations off of it. But once I picked it up, I was just immersed into the story. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with their backstories and their pasts, and how they have a tension between them, and also the fact that it's a different kind of sports romance because the hero is a motocross rider while the heroine is a gymnast. I love reading about different kinds of sports, not really the most popular ones. So this one was a definite hit for me. I did not expect to give this book 5 stars, but it was a definite 5-star read for me. And then the next book is going to be The Will of the Many again, because again, I was very hesitant going into this book because I really didn't know if it was going to be for me. And then once I started reading it, I discovered things about myself as a reader once I started reading it, that I should not be so scared and so hesitant and apprehensive when picking up fantasy books. I just really need to start looking into what kind of fantasy books will most probably work best for me, so that I can pick up those kinds of books to really see that I am this kind of a reader. So this one really kind of blew me away, and I'm so happy that I picked it up because now I have kind of more an idea of what I'm looking for in fantasy books as well. So yeah, definite favorite again, and a definite surprise for me as well. The next question is a new favorite author that can be a debut author or a new to me author. Now for this one, I actually decided to do a new to me author because one of my bonus questions will feature debut authors. So for a new to me author, I have to say that I'm going to go with Stephanie Archer because I really love The Freakout by this author. This book, I was certain I was going to enjoy because I really have been loving hockey romances, but I didn't think I was going to give this book 5 stars. Once I started reading it, it just hit all the right boxes for me. So I really highly enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars, and I think I'm going to be picking up more books by this author. And then another one is Taubauer. I really love the rest of the story and I really want to pick up more books by this author. I have been hearing all the good things about the other books by this author as well, so I definitely want to explore more. The next question is my newest fictional crush. I have to go with two book boyfriends. The first one being Justin from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This man, he went out of his way to plan dates and outings with his heroine. He sent her like a questionnaire to tick off boxes of what she typically enjoys so that he can organize the best kind of outing and the best kind of date for her. He sent her like exit interview kinds of surveys of how did the date go, so that I know if I should repeat this in the future or I should stay away from this in the future. And that was just something I've never seen in a book before. I absolutely fell in love with Justin and how thoughtful and how caring and how amazing he was with his heroine. There was a caretaking scene in this book where he just did great in that scene. And yeah, he was just the best kind of hero for me. And then the second one is Rain from The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Rain has exactly the type of energy that would attract me to a man in real life. Like, he's very playful, he's very much like also an enigma in certain ways, and he is just the kind of alpha that I would enjoy because he gives off the energy, but he's not an asshole about it, if you get what I mean. It's exactly the kind of man that I would really be attracted to in real life. So Rain is exactly the kind of hero that I will fall in love with. He's a definite crush for me, for sure. The next question is my newest favorite character. Now for this question, I typically go for heroines because fictional crushes are the male characters that I've really been loving, and then for the characters that I've been really loving for this question, I stick to the heroines. In this one I have a couple as well. I'm going to mention Quinn Darkova, who is from the Dark Magi series by Kel Carpenter. This is a dark romantasy series that I read at the start of the year and I really fell in love with. And Quinn is just such an amazing character. She's so layered. She has a lot of trauma to work through, and she's very intentional about the way that she makes her decisions and about what exactly she wants to achieve. She is not afraid of using someone to get to what she wants because she has been so wronged in her past. But at the same time, even though she has her flaws, she definitely is someone who is growing with the way that things are happening to her. So yeah, Quinn is a definite favorite of mine. And then another one is Lana from the Mindfuck series. I also read this series at the start of the year because she's a very complex, very layered and very flawed character. At the same time, we sympathize with her even though she makes very questionable decisions. We sympathize with her because of what has happened with her, and we want her to get her happily ever after, even though throughout the series it doesn't look like she's going to get it. So Lana from the Mindfuck series is a favorite one of mine as well. And then I also have to say that Araya from The Serpent and the Wings of Night is a favorite character of mine as well, because she has all the cards stacked against her and she is just learning to play those cards the best that she can so that she can get the best out of the situations that she's thrown into. And I have to say that she also has this very big growth within the two books. And she's written in a way where she definitely does have her flaws as well, but at the same time, we sympathize with those flaws as well. There's just so much goodness within her character as well as how her character develops within the books. I'm just fangirling over here over all these women. I love them. The next question is a book that made me cry. I'm going to stick to only one. Typically, I'm a crybaby when it comes to books. I very often cry when I read books. But this year, I haven't had very many that really left such a big impact on me that I really full on sobbed. There's only one that I can think of that really I captured myself crying while reading this book, and that is The Idea of You by Robin Lee. I know that it's not a favorite of everyone's because of the ending, but for me, the ending was perfect. I really love that book and I cried my eyes out at the end of the book. I completely felt all the strong emotions and feelings that the book was supposed to leave in me. And yeah, a definite tearjerker when it comes to people like me. I really am a crybaby and I'm happy to admit it. So yeah, this one made me cry out loud and shed a lot of tears. The next question is a book that made me happy. I've got very many, and the ones that I'm going to stick to are ones that really made me giddy reading them. The first one is The Freakout by Stephanie Archer. I really love this book. I already told you about it. I had so much fun with it, and it hit all the right boxes for me. Then we've got Funny Story by Emily Henry. Again, I have all the love for this book. I really enjoyed it and it made me giddy and happy. And then the next one is Savor It by Tara DeWitt. I really enjoy foodie romances, and whenever we've got like a professional chef thrown into the mix of a romance, it always tends to hit the right box for me. So this one is a definite hit for me as well. The next question is, what's the most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year? I have to say that I don't buy special editions. Typically, I don't buy a lot of pretty covers and sprayed edges covers, and I'm just not that type of a collector. And typically I'll just buy the paperbacks because those are the easiest to read, so I don't have any hardcovers or very few hardcover books as well. But I have to say that last year when I was at Rare, I was very tempted and I purchased a special edition by Tilly Coles. That one is so pretty. It is 1,000 Void Kisses. It just has this most gorgeous cover. Let me just put it up like this so you can see it. I really enjoyed this book when I read it way back when, and I wanted to have a copy of it. It's really gorgeous, and I also received a very beautiful print that I have up on my wall over here. So yeah, this one is a beauty. And then I also love the cover for The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It is just a gorgeous cover. I love the colors. I love that it's very much a typical fantasy kind of cover. I don't know how to express myself, but I really like this cover, and I really like this cover. I don't know that it's going to be everyone's favorite, but like I mentioned, I don't really buy very many pretty books. So for this question, those are the two ones that I can come up with. The next question is, what books do you still need to get to this year? So I've been mentioning this in every single TBR video of mine, and I'm ashamed to say, but I really need to get to Twisted Lies by Anna Huang so I can move on to the next series, which would be like the King series, King of Greed, King of Pride, King of Wrath, King of Sloth. All these books I still need to get to, but I first need to finish Twisted Lies because I just want to finish that series before I start on a new one. I also want to get to Regine Abel's The Mist series. I have the physical copies, the signed copies by the author, and I've just been putting them off. I don't know why. I know I'm going to love them, but I really want to get to them. I also really want to get to this book, which is very popular at the moment, which is When the Moon Hatched. This one I definitely want to get to soon because I do have the physical copy as well as the audiobook, so I want to do maybe a read together kind of situation because I heard that the first chunk of the book is difficult to get through, so I want to see which medium will work best for me. And by the way, this cover is also very pretty. I just forgot that I bought the physical copy for it, but this one is very pretty as well. And obviously all the new releases that I'm looking forward to, I still need to get to them this year. So yeah, plenty of books on the TBR, the never-ending TBR, that I still need to get to. Now we've come to the two bonus questions that I've come up with because I really wanted to share these books with you as well. The first one being books by debut authors that I've really loved that I want people to discover this year. The first one is called When I Think of You by Maya Ariel. I think in my wrap up for this book, I mentioned that it really reminded me of Real by Kennedy Ryan. I think this is a gorgeous debut novel. It features a hero and heroine who have this second chance romance. The two of them work in the movie making industry. The heroine hasn't really had a chance to explore her potential within what she wants to do in the movie making industry, while the hero has kind of had his career handed to him because of who his family is. And he is very successful in the movie making industry, and he makes her a promise to involve her in one of his projects. It's a very, very good second chance romance, a perfect debut novel if you ask me. So this one, I really hope that more people will discover it. And then the second one is a Formula One romance that I really, really enjoyed. It was highly recommended by Caitlin from the Love Librarian, and it's called Lights Out by Kayla James. I think that this year has really been the year of a lot of different kinds of sports romances that are coming out, specifically also a lot of racing romances. But this one is definitely one that I really enjoyed the most. This one is also one that features the type of situation within a male-dominated sport that I want to see, where we've got a heroine who also joins the competition and is proving to everyone that she can do it just as good as all the men within the circuit. I really love this book. And then another one that I really, really highly enjoyed is Just Some Stupid Love Story by Caitlin Doyle. I mentioned in my wrap-up, I think, for this book that I'm not sure that this one is going to be for everyone because the heroine is not the most likable character. But if you're someone like me who doesn't mind that, I think you may enjoy this one, because you know that the two characters will end up together, but the road to getting there is quite rocky. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. I hope that more people discover all these books. And then the next question is underrated books and series that I would like to see more people discovering and picking up. This one is, I can add so many books to this list, but I'm going to stick to two. One of them being a series, one of them being a standalone book. And the series is the Dark Magi series by Kel Carpenter. I have to say that this series really took me by surprise. It's a 5-book series, but all of the books are quite short, so you can really binge through them. It's really dark, it's really twisty. There's a lot of politics, there's great romance within it, there is great intrigue within it, there is a lot of backstory to it, a lot of emotions thrown into the backstory, specifically of the heroine. And I just really, really love this series, and I hope that more people discover it. And then the standalone book that I wanted to mention is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. Again, I've been seeing this here and there, but I definitely think that it deserves more hype. It's just a gorgeously crafted book. I think that exactly these kinds of books are ones that we've been missing here in the romance community, where we focus on more mature characters, characters who have gone through very serious relationships, are out of those relationships, and now are shaped in quite a different way than someone who is in their 20s and has not had the experience of a serious relationship before. It's just exactly the type of read that would appeal to a reader like me, who is in my mid-30s and would just want to explore different kinds of stories. So yeah, this one, I really hope that more people pick this book up because it's really gorgeous. So this wraps up the mid-year book freakout tag for me. I have been rambling, I know, and I think this is going to be a long one. I'm sorry, but I just have so many things to say about all these books. And I'm happy that most of the questions are really positive, because then I get to gush about all the books that I've been loving and I'm looking forward to as well. I'm looking forward to discovering more of your videos as well. So if you want to make a video of your own, you'll see the questions below and consider yourself tagged as well. I hope to see you in the next one. Please don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care. Bye-bye.